Everybody. You know, November tends to be a month of gratitude and unity. Just about every church that you go to that's at unity will be giving some kind of talks on gratitude during this month of November. And so I really wanted to bring it into appreciation. And I thought, for me, that song really encapsulates it for me. Show them the way that you feel. Things will only turn out better if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. For me, appreciation is an expression of love. And there's something about appreciation that is more personal, more soul-driven than just gratitude. Some of us were taught to be polite and always say please and thank you. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'll tell a story. So I remember we always had to display our Christmas gifts under the Christmas tree when I was growing up. And I remember being 13 years old, and I had asked for a bathrobe, and my grandmother got me this bathrobe. That was the most hideous bathrobe in the world. It was like, at 13, I wanted something pink and fluffy, and I got this like red-orange dress coat, that was 3/4 length sleeves with the big darts in the chest, where the chest would go eventually. and I remember having to say thank you, right? Because we always had to express gratitude, thank you for this gift. And I remember being 13 and really not really feeling that. And so for me, appreciation is, it's deeper. It really requires us to connect with others in a way that just saying thank you doesn't always. So as always, I always like to talk about like what, why, and how. Like what am I talking about, and why I think it's relevant for us to consider or ponder, and some of the ways that we can do that. And I found a definition that kind of speaks to what I just spoke of. And I apologize for not remembering the source. But they said that there's two phrases that have two distinct purposes. Thank you is our standard etiquette phrase that is applied regardless of whether one enjoys the action or gift, just like my story. I appreciate it is an acknowledgement that you recognize the special worth of the action of the gift being given. So gratitude is when you feel thankful for something. Appreciation is when you show that gratitude. Gratitude is the emotion. Appreciation is the action. And like our fifth unity principle, right? It's not enough to know the truth. We must express that truth that we know. So appreciation is an opportunity for us to express that gratitude. So why, right? Why talk about this? My friends, we are not promised tomorrow. And so many of us are struggling in ways that we know not of. And I know that I've talked about this before, that we're wired for negativity. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm not going to affirm that. But here's the thing. Like it comes from our egos. And that's just back, we're programmed that way because of the days when we had to watch our back because of, saber-toothed tigers or whatever. But knowing that we're pre-wired for that, it just invites us to be consciously aware of our thinking and our words and what we're consuming, right? Both in the foods that we eat, in the shows that we're watching, in the social media that we're engrossed in today's society. much to what I think Sky was trying to relay in his testimony this morning. Appreciation really helps us to be sometimes for others, that we can be, to offset that negativity, we can be that candle in a darkened room. And appreciation can help us to get there. Reverend Jim Blake, the CEO of Unity World Headquarters, put it this way. He said, when you see something beautiful in someone, tell them. It may take seconds to say, but for them it could last a lifetime. Our words have power. Let us use them for good. May we be generous in word and deed, for the small pebbles cast into the still waters of life can create bountiful ripples in the lives of those we touch. May we leave ripples of kindness in the wake of your journey today. Blessed be. And Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, stated this way: if you start right now with the idea of universal and eternal goodness uppermost in your mind, talk only about the good, and see with the mind's eye everything and everyone as good, then you will soon be demonstrating all kinds of good. And Charles Fillmore also stated that when we increase whatever we praise, the whole creation responds to praise and is glad. Right? What's the law of mind action, right? What we appreciate appreciates, and that's the law of mind action, right? So what do we want more of in our lives? So how do we do this? And one of the things that I came across too, and I'm going to invite you to check it out, is it's called the You Matter Marathon. And I just want to read you their vision and their mission and their core values and see if it sounds a little familiar. Okay? So their vision statement is, we envision a world where individuals naturally and regularly affirm the significance and the value of another. And the mission statement is, the You Matter Marathon is a global initiative that creates positive connection between individuals and communities. In their core beliefs, we believe the world would be a more peaceful and joyful place if every person knew they mattered. We believe that the path to a more peaceful and joyful world begins with daily acts of connecting in positive and sincere ways that honor our common humanity. We believe that one way to affirm our own significance is to regularly affirm the significance of others. Now, see, when I read that, and I thought of your mission and vision statement that you have here, it sounded, the words might be different, but the love and the intention behind that is pretty similar. It's pretty much the same. So here's the story of how this You Matter Marathon came about. And this is the story of Cheryl Rice, and she says, you know those projects that make you feel like you're spinning your wheels and you're going to lose whatever hair you have left? Anyone been there? Can anyone relate? Cheryl Rice was working on one of those projects, and she was frustrated, and she felt stalled and dejected. Then a colleague gave her a card that changed everything. Often, when we're going through a tough time, and we feel alone, or we just have someone notice and understand, makes all the difference between feeling invisible and feeling loved and supported. For Cheryl, that card bearing just 2 words is what made her realize she wasn't alone. The 2 words, you matter. Cheryl told me that she teared up when she read the message. I struggled at times with my own self-worth. And when I received the card, it felt like a question I carry around within me had been answered. That expression from her to me filled me up, and Cheryl was touched with the gesture, so touched with the gesture that she ordered 100 of her own cards to give away, first to family and friends, and then to acquaintances. And eventually she also started leaving the cards in strategic locations to brighten strangers' days, in the credit card holders at gas pumps, in library books, on car windshields. And then she got bolder. She said, I was standing in the checkout line behind a woman who looked to be in her 60s when the cashier asked how she was doing, and the woman said, not so good. My husband just lost his job and my son is acting out. The truth is, I don't know how I'm going to get through the holidays. Then she gave the cashier food stamps and my heart ached. I wanted to help, but I didn't know how. Should I offer to pay for her groceries, ask her for her husband's resume? I did nothing. And the woman left the store. And as I walked into the parking lot, I spotted her returning her shopping cart, and I remembered something in my purse that might help her. My heart pounded as I approached her. I said, excuse me, I overheard what you said to the cashier, and it sounds like you're going through a really hard time, and I'd like to give you something. And I handed her a You Matter card. And when she read it, she began to cry. You have no idea how much this means to me, she said through her tears, and we hugged. I hadn't anticipated a reaction. When I walked back to my car, I cried too. And for Cheryl, that experience was powerful, and she wanted to share it. And so for her final project in her applied psychology certificate program last year, she decided to ship 30 You Matter cards free to anyone who signed up for online, as long as that person committed to giving the cards away. And she said, if I hadn't had the card, I don't know if I would have gone up to this woman and said anything, she said. But the card gave me permission to do this. And that's what this is all about. Seizing moments in our common humanity and relating to each other as human beings. I wanted other people to have that experience. So her plan was originally to give 10,000 cards away that would require the participation of 334 people. She called it the You Matter Marathon and suggested that participants give out a card every day in November. Well, the idea was more successful than she expected, and she thought that her target was a stretch, but wound up surpassing the 334 mark in under a month. And because she hadn't been financially prepared to give away that many cards for free, she and her husband found themselves in a bind. But she felt really strongly that there be no cost to other strings attached that the givers begin to receive by getting their own cards first before giving them out. And ultimately, her father stepped in and helped with the burden, and she forged ahead with the projects. She said the cards have changed participants' lives. She said a woman named Sandy wrote to her to describe how the You Matter card had changed her relationship with her son. That when she gave her grown son a You Matter card, he was fighting back, holding the tears, and he simply looked at it for about a minute. There was a change in his body language, and I got a sense that he finally believes that he does matter in my life and that he's loved. And we finally were able to have a meaningful conversation. She said the reason it made such a difference in both our lives is that in the past he had suffered from depression and had attempted suicide before. And for many years he had kept all of that really hidden. She said that I see him every few weeks, and we've been trying to amend our relationship, and it's been a long process, but there's been a shift in the relationship since handing him the You Matter card. And he has always been quiet, shy person who has difficulty sharing his thoughts, and now he's opening up more. The You Matter card was the link I needed to reach him, and the cards tend to change lives too. You know, another person, Julie, another participant can attest, she said, having the You Matter cards ready to hand out has caused me to look at people differently. It is hard for me to approach strangers, so this is an opportunity for growth, to try to find people whom I have a meaningful interaction with, and consequently, I'm really looking at people. This is making such a difference in this is making such a more of a connected human experience for me. And actually, this whole thing happened because a therapist by the name of Vicki Grady, O'Grady, was a therapist based in Florida who also gives out the You Matter cards. And she happened to be the one that distributed them at a conference that a certain colleague of Cheryl happened to bump into, and one of the cards found its way to Cheryl when she needed the most, and the rest is history. She said, this made me realize how powerful each of us is. Cheryl says we aren't powerless. We have the ability to influence our lives and the lives of others, and that is really affirming. And I've heard a similar story to this with Who I Am Make a Difference pins, where a teacher gave her students, first of all, she acknowledged every single student in her class, how they had made a difference. And then she gave each of them three pins, one for themselves, one to give away, and one for that person that they give it to give away to another. And the story is that one of her students gave it to his boss and mentor and told him how much he had made a difference in his life. That mentor went home and gave it to his teenage son, who was really battling depression and actually had written a note about how he wanted to end his life. And that was just the difference that he needed to create a shift, to know that he mattered. And I think, appreciation is a way that we can do that, by letting people know that we appreciate them, that they matter. Later today, when we go into meditation, I brought in an assortment of like gratitude cards, and I found these really awesome little cards at the paper store. So I'm going to invite everyone to just take a card and either give it to someone here, or to mail it. I've got bigger cards too, because I'm a real big fan of Trader Joe's cards. They always have they have a lot of positive cards, and they're not a great investment in money. So my intention is for us to be able to show appreciation for the people in our lives. So we can do that. I've been struggling a lot lately, and one of the ways that we can also reach out to people is like social media. You know, tagging someone on their profile, or sending an email or a text of appreciation. And I got one from a friend of mine about a week ago. She, unbeknownst to the fact that I was going to be giving this talk, I get this email out of the blue, and she said, "Dear Amy, I appreciate who you've come here to be. I love how you speak up and articulate your words in a way that can be understood. And I appreciate how committed to a life of prayer that you are, and the words through which you voice your prayers. Your humor, your righteous living, and your friendship I value. Blessing you, Susan." Right? Coming, like I said, at the right and perfect time that I most needed to hear it, because I wasn't feeling all that enlightened in that particular moment. My hope and intention like the James Taylor song, that we shower the people we love with prayer, with love. And we show them the way that we feel. And trust that things are going to be just fine if we only will. Because we all need that. And one of the things before I go into meditation, one of the things that I want to do is offer some appreciation to Bob, who hopefully is still watching. You know, first I want to say congratulations to Bob and being a licensed Unity teacher. I mean, it's such a commitment to becoming a licensed teacher. First of all, there's all of those spiritual enrichment education classes, which is like 23 classes. And then there's the they don't call them intensive weeks anymore. But then you're going for another 4 classes. And then there's all kinds of 4 classes. So it's actually a total of 12 classes during those intensives. And there's lots of homework and work in between to do as well. And then there's your skills demonstration seminar that you've got to teach a class to other ministers and all of that. And to do that, you know, I know that you've had I know that Bob has had some physical challenges over the years. And to take something on like that, when life is just easy, is one thing, but to take that on during a challenge, it's phenomenal. It is. It's really freaking phenomenal. It's badass, actually. So I just want to just appreciate Bob for his dedication, his tenacity, his love for these teachings, and his love for this community. Living proof that you can transcend difficult situations to reach your goal. And not just a goal that helps him, but I know that this community will be better for all this work and dedication. So I appreciate you, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of that, and I appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Without you, I couldn't have done it.
Yes. Right. Yeah. See, appreciation makes us all better, right? We all need to hear that. We all need to hear that we're loved. Well, thank you. So I'm going to bring us into a time of meditation. Like I said, I invite you all, if you feel inspired, to come up and grab a card. And like I said, there's a little variety of everything. If you want to write a soliloquy, there's a bigger card. If you want to just say, hey, I was thinking of you and I wanted to let you know that you matter. I would have brought the You Matter cards. I did order mine set, but they haven't arrived yet. I'm like, oh. But yes, for next time. When I do come, I will bring some. But there's all kinds of little cards in here. But let's take it into meditation. Yes, please. I appreciate you, Sky. So I just invite you to start with a big, deep breath in and an exhale. And I always like to ground myself by, I like to wiggle my toes, and sometimes I just even run my legs, or I might run my arms, just to ground myself in this moment. Just helps me be in my body. And what I also invite you to do is to place your hands on your heart. I read recently that if you put your hands on your heart, that it's energetically the equivalent of giving yourself a hug. Don't we all We could all use a hug, huh? And I'm going to start with just appreciating our body temple. The ability to breathe. I appreciate that. I don't have to consciously be aware. Like, I don't have to think, breathe, breathe, breathe. The intelligence of my body temple does that for me. Isn't that wonderful? Oxygenating my cells and my organs and my tissues. Appreciation for our circulatory system, circulating our blood. Our skeletal system, our bones, our body, supporting us. Our body temples are temples of the divine, sacred and holy. And like Myrtle Fillmore, our co-founder, we just ask for forgiveness of any self-deprecating thoughts, any sense of criticism for our body temple for the way it works or looks, or we just come to appreciation that this body, this temple, is here to support us in expressing our divine nature. And coming into a place of appreciation and love, evoking that power of love within us. And let our body be infused with love and appreciation in every breath. Just imagine this love just magnifying, and this appreciation magnifying and multiplying, seeing expanding beyond our hearts to a full body temple, to an aura around us. That lights up this room. Lights up this shopping, this plaza, this town, this state, this country, this world. What words of appreciation need to hear? And I invite you to say this to yourself and say your name. I love you. I love you, Amy. I appreciate your courage and your strength. Allow your heart to open and seeing and expanding. And from the place of open-heartedness, bring into your consciousness someone you appreciate. Imagine that person standing before you now. What words, emotions would you like to express to them? And that can be someone who's here on the earth plane now or who has passed. Or someone from the past. Say, I love you. I appreciate your courage and your strength. I appreciate you show up in this world, in the light that you bring. I invite you, if you feel comfortable to do so, to come up and grab a card and a pen. You know, maybe it's someone that's in this room that you know that you could use a little of appreciation. Or maybe it's a coworker or your Amazon delivery guy who always brings your packages to your back door. Or maybe it's the person that does your oil changes in the garage. Or the person that takes your money when you go to pump your gas. And if you feel inclined, please feel free to come up and grab a card. There's envelopes in there too. See, and writing it down is also a form of taking it beyond the thank you to appreciation to the physicality of that. appreciate this community, their open hearts, their dedication to showing up for one another. I appreciate this beautiful music. I appreciate even the people that aren't present here today. I appreciate everyone who has ever been a part of Unity of Central Massachusetts, because their light and love, whether they're present here physically with us today, has been a part of this beautiful community and being a loving, welcoming beacon of light. And I appreciate everyone who's present here today for making a commitment to showing up, to being open to this message, for showing up in only the way that you can each show up. I appreciate you. And when you're ready, we can start coming back into this space, time and space. I always like to stretch.